Jesus Christ, dude. Oh, fuck. Why do I keep shutting off this goddamn fucking tab?
Yeah, good morning, Robin. That's right. We're in Kharkiv, the country's second largest city. We were also woken up this morning by the sound of multiple strikes. We counted
to an urgent G video circulating online shows the strait. The bridge is the only land route connecting Russian-occupied Crimea to Russia.
You really can't just say whatever you want to say is terrorism. I mean, what kind of precedent does that set? I mean, that is just, there is a terrorism designation across the board is a political one that is utilized by state actors to make non-state actors, or even sometimes state actors that are their enemies, to come across like they're doing something, extra illegal, right? Not just like regular illegal, but extra illegal, okay? And it is, people do play with that distinction quite frequently. Now, if that was ad bait for the top of the hour, then sorry, I didn't read that part. I just read the top point and didn't read the rest of it. But it is top of the hour, and I will run a 60-second ad break right now. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. Which you can do for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. The longer this lore lasts, the chance of nuclear accidents, power plants, weapons increases 100%. And sometimes terrorism is terrorism, like attacking civilian areas during a war, but I agree it's sometimes muddied. Yeah. It's fucked up across the board, but the Western framing of the situation is pure propaganda. Russia's also playing the same game, and this was a PR dub for Putin and Russia, unfortunately. I mean, it's disgusting. It's incredibly fucked up. And I think this will escalate potentially into nuclear conflict, or at least that's what the American State Department's assessment is. Okay? As Joe Biden has said, we are closer to nuclear Armageddon since the Cuban Missile Crisis on Friday. The only way out of this is... Oh, wait, fuck. Let me run the top of the hour ad break real quick. I'm sorry. The only way out of this is a treaty, okay? Is a ceasefire, is a treaty. There's no other way out of this. And it comes either after a nuclear attack or before a nuclear attack, or Ukrainian forces end up pushing and purging all land of Ukraine, all Ukrainian land, ridding all Ukrainian land of Russian forces, okay, without Putin somehow using a tactical nuke and going full scale all out, okay? But no matter what happens, there is still a peace treaty at the end of this. There has to be. That's how wars end, okay? Any chance the bridge bombing was a false flag like Moscow apartment bombings and the FSB as a pretext for escalation? I mean, I don't think so, but maybe. My Ukrainian mom and grandma are optimistic that somehow Ukraine will win. I don't see a win in this scenario for Ukraine. I mean, there is no win. There is no winners in war. Everybody loses. But when I say everybody, I mean workers, civilians. Every fucking civilian loses. You understand? That's who loses in this process. Those who make out like a fucking bandit are weapons manufacturers, oligarchs on either side. You know what I mean? You know who wins in this war? America wins. The UK wins, but not really. Like even American and British citizens don't even win in that circumstance, right? It's just the weapons manufacturers win. And ultimately, the people that are losing the most out of everyone are Ukrainian civilians. Okay? They are the ones who are getting fucked.
Itself.
Even if parts of the bridge are still usable, it's still going to be very difficult for the Russians to resupply their troops across this bridge into the south. which will give the Ukrainians a strong battlefield advantage. But this was as much a psychological blow as it was a military blow.
The four-lane highway and railway unveiled in 2018 personally by Putin. Now, long line of cars wait to cross the badly damaged bridge. And in the aftermath, Putin also appointing a new general to oversee the war in Ukraine. Army General Sergei Surovikin, known as the Butcher in Syria for his role as the commander there at the time of the Aleppo mass bombardment. Now, mounting fears of Putin's next move.
You have a modern nuclear power, and the leader of that modern nuclear power.
Like, John Kirby's statements on this shit is why I'm fucking terrified. John Kirby has been going on every fucking news broadcast, okay, and talking about the possibility of maybe a baby nuke being used. And I can't help but feel like they know something that we don't, as always, where they're basically stating, you know, maybe a nuke might go off, maybe a tactical nuke might go off, but like, you know, it's just a little baby nuke, which is fucking insane, okay? Like, are they gearing us up for a potential Russian nuke being launched, like a tactical nuke or something? So that they could be like, yeah, we knew about it ahead of time. We told you. But it's still a fucking nuke. It's still a nuke. Thousands will die if that happens. And they even have said that, like, they would potentially blow up the fleet, like the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. They will attack it if a nuke does go off. But beyond that, they don't necessarily have any kind of, like, additional defense measures in place. Obviously, you can't speak on it so openly, but that's part of the reason why I'm worried about the parts that they are speaking out on. Wouldn't both sides launch all their nukes immediately if Russia just sent this one? No. With what John Kirby and the like are saying, makes it unironically seem like if Russia were to launch a tactical nuke into Ukrainian territory, that they would not retaliate by launching they wouldn't activate mutually assured self-destruction. That Ukraine is not in NATO and therefore not considered a large enough risk for mutually assured destruction to kick in. That's what I'm fucking terrified by. And I don't know why people don't see that. I don't know why Ukrainian leadership does not recognize that that's what Americans are kind of, you know, kind of gearing everybody for, kind of conditioning everybody for. You see what I'm saying? And I think the only side of this is, the way I see it, I think what people are looking forward to, like what the American side and the Western side is looking forward to, is like, if Russia overextends its hand, China will stop its allegiance with Russia. And I think that they're wrong on that assessment, but what do I know? I've been wrong before, and I certainly am not an expert on, Chinese diplomacy. But I think like what the bargain that Western powers are making here, the gamble that Western powers are engaging in here, is that if Russia overextends and like does something that is truly horrific, like launching in the words of the American State Department, a baby nuke, which is still a fucking nuke, which is still immensely destructive. Okay? That will cut off Russia's ties with even maybe some of the OPEC plus the OPEC plus allegiance that they have, which is doubtful, or at the very least China's involvement on the Russian side. The precedent for tactical weapons having many times higher collateral civilian death than the actual targets is already well established. There is no such thing as a tactical nuke. The whole point is mass casualties. Yes, I understand that. And from what I understand, nuclear technology is so goddamn insane and so fucking powerful that like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bombs look tiny in comparison, which is insane to say. This notion that we're having conversations about like whether or not we could survive nuclear Armageddon or nuclear holocaust or nuclear winter is insane. It is dark. Russian doctrine allows for what they call tactical nukes. These warheads could be very, very small and be the equivalent of some conventional bombs. One kiloton to 3 kiloton tactical nuke bombs are smaller than Nagasaki. Doesn't Putin get bumped the second he decides to use a nuke by his own general staff, maybe? These are all super old conversations that people had during the Cold War, when there was the original nuke scare, you know? And you can't rely on that. You can't make policy around, like, hoping that someone will fucking off the leader before they hit the button. Like, I've heard this so many fucking times. If you've read anything about mutually assured destruction, you've heard people say that. You've heard people talk about those, like, hypothetical scenarios. And relying on that Hail Mary in a situation where nukes are flying is a little wild. I'll just say it like that. I don't know if I'm willing to... I don't know if I'm willing to bet on that. Let's continue.
Power willing to use irresponsible rhetoric the way that Mr. Putin has several times in just the last week or two, as well as the high tensions in Ukraine over just the course of the last few days. The stakes are very high right now.
You know, there's actually no point in today's attacks. It's terrorism, sure, but it doesn't get anyone in Ukraine. People are used to all of it. Bro, it doesn't matter. It's still horrific. What the fuck do you mean? Ukrainians in my chat are like, bro, it's fine. 12 people died. That's crazy. I mean, I'm sorry that, like, you're used to ongoing terror in your life, but no, striking especially Western Ukrainian targets is fucking psychotic. It is completely unacceptable. It's like, that's terrorism. They hit civilian infrastructure to say, hey, you hit our civilian infrastructure, we're going to hit your civilian infrastructure even worse. That's what they did. That was that. Okay? That was the main reason why this happened. That was the main reason why Russia did this. And they openly stated it as such. And it's completely unacceptable. People have unironically gotten used to it in Ukraine at this point. My uncle was on the phone and a bomb struck nearby. He just calmly said, oh, bomb, I'll be right back. The goal or the purpose of these Russian targets, like Russia targeting Western Ukraine, is to strike fear and destabilize Ukrainian civilian population life. Because as far as I understand, regardless of how traumatic that existence has been, Ukraine is, by and large, on the Western side, gone back to business as usual. Obviously not fully business as usual. You could never do that while you were actively being invaded by a foreign force, but it is to disrupt. It is to basically disrupt it. That's terrorism. That's the goal of terrorism. The goal of terrorism is to strike fear in the hearts of your opponent and disrupt your opponent's daily existence, the opposing nation and their daily existence, so they fucking, so they can no longer survive, and it's destabilizing. Did Russia conduct the strikes via Moldovan airspace? I think Moldova summoned the Russian ambassador. What? Morale bombing has been shown to be counterproductive, and we've known this as World War II. I mean, it basically reignites and regalvanizes the Ukrainian civilian population in the exact opposite way. The world is already looking at Russia as the main villains, as they should, because they are the main villains in this circumstance. And I think that, I don't know what the delivery mechanism for these missiles were, but the idea that they are basically stating, like, we can strike you at the heart of where all of your citizens live, okay, while simultaneously talking about tactical nukes, or, moving nukes around potentially, or using nukes, as Putin has done, while the American State Department on media is routinely referencing potential nuclear weapons being used as a way to, like, almost, get everybody on board that it might happen. I find that terrifying, a terrifying prospect for Ukrainians currently. Putin did it to please Russian hawks and his elites and among his supporters. Yeah, I mean, Putin did it as a strongman game.
Well, as Britt said, Vladimir Putin holding his National Security Council meeting, directly tying the attack in Crimea to the response here, but significantly warning that more could come if Ukraine continues to attack. No indication that Ukraine will stop. I think everyone is bracing to see how this escalates, what happens next.
All
Robin?
watching. All right, Ian, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George.
I mean, you can see it here. Insane footage of the Russian cruise missile hitting Kyiv today. Right there. Wait, hold on. Yeah, here. That's the first one, and then the second one comes in right after here. Fucking terrifying, dude. Insane. Like, look at this shit. There's people just fucking driving around, you know what I mean? That's insane. Russians are destroying my city. There are explosions in Kyiv and other cities in Ukraine. Holy fuck, this one blows up right behind her. I walked past this building for many years.